Did you know in 1944,
a loaf of bread was 9 cents.
fuel was 15 cents a gallon?
Frozen dinners were invented.
It was a leap year.
DNA was identified as a substance that carries genetic information.
Old Spice soap, shaving soap was $1.
And Smokey the Bear was created.
Hi, Grandpa. Happy birthday. Just wanted to let you know I sure do love you.
Hello, Grandpa. It is Alec, Marin, and Baby, the three musketeers. We're making this video to remind you how much we love you.
Hi.
Happy birthday, Grandpa.
Hey Grandpa, I just want to say how grateful I am for you and your love to me and our family.
Happy birthday!
What's the funniest thing Grandpa has said or done that you remember?
He is just so quick-witted.
That's a hard one because just hanging out with Grandpa is just a high level of entertainment and happiness.
Funniest thing is I wasn't there for it and I wish I could have been, but it was when Grandpa had this black book that he wrote grandmother's phone number in when they first met, and she thought that he was a player because of his big black book, and the only phone numbers that were in it, she came to find out, were his mother's phone and his grandmother's phone number.
Probably just all the jokes he makes about losing his fingers. Those are all just really good.
I do love his finger trick.
A few years ago, for Thanksgiving, I brought a couple of my friends to Grandma and Grandpa's house for dinner, and we had been there maybe 15 minutes, where Grandpa's like, oh, hold on, I gotta show you something, and he disappears down the hall. So we're all just chatting in the dining room, and he comes back with this giant poster, and he says, this is a picture of a mouse sperm. 1, super freaking cool. 2, the fact that he took that picture, even cooler. 3, these people have known my grandfather all of 10 minutes and he's already showing them pictures of sperm. It was a great first impression, Grandpa. They loved you, but it was really funny.
I really like our Halloween parties. I really like the way he steers the piñata. It makes me laugh. I don't know if that counts as funny, but it does make me laugh and brings me a lot of joy.
Now, there are many things that one could say about Grandpa. But one of my favorite aspects of being your grandson is hearing your wonderful stories. Let's think about all the times throughout Europe, Asia, in the backyard. Lots of great stories and voices that go along with them. Perhaps one of my favorite, though, is, I believe, a time that you were in China and they found out you were a member of the church. So they asked you how many wives you had. And you went on to tell them that you had 7 wives, 1 for each day of the week. And they're all surprised. Oh, ching, 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 oh! And that's the day that you learned that there's not much of sarcasm in China. And that's one of my favorite stories.
I know. When I was a kid, one of the chickens pecked my finger and Grandpa picked it up, scolded it, and then set it on a goat as punishment. And that was the funniest thing, and I still think about that regularly because that was really funny.
What do you think Grandpa's favorite thing to do is?
I don't think this is a fair question because Grandpa has so many favorite things. Like, he has a million hobbies and he loves them all.
Shooting guns. For sure. Playing with his toys, shooting his guns.
Have grandkids? Specifically me. Spend time with me, specifically. I'm his favorite, obviously.
Ooh, reload ammunition. That's my guess.
He loves reloading, he loves shooting, he loves working on cars. Honestly, just getting his hands in something.
Honestly, anything technical and highly detailed. Reloading particularly comes to mind, where you can get really intricate with grain weight of his powder, weight of his bullet, head spacing, seating depth, everything. Anything where you can get really deep and intricate, I think he finds the most joy there.
So I'm going to say his favorite thing to do is doing one of his favorite hobbies with the people he loves.
What kind of teenager do you think Grandpa was?
I know he set a track record at his high school, so I guess he did track.
So based on the stories I have heard, I think Grandpa was a very quiet and kind of shy teenager. We'll go with even the nerdy stereotype, like he didn't really talk to people and he kind of stuck to his own thing. But I know he could be bold when he needed to. Otherwise, he wouldn't have ended up with Grandma.
And I also know how he was the only one brave enough to dance with a girl the first time he danced with Grandma Judy.
Probably the normal one in the friend group, if I'm being honest. I think he's the one who's like getting decent grades and like not staying up super, super late.
Hardworking.
Maybe he had his life a little bit better together than I did when I was a teenager. I think he knew what he wanted to do too. He knew he liked cars, and I think he was pursuing that with a lot of passion, and I think that's a good thing.
What's Grandpa's best advice to you?
Love hearing him tell about his conversion story and how the gospel changed his life. And I am so, so glad that I got to be born in the gospel because Grandpa accepted it. And hearing his stories helps me remember not to take it for granted because I might be prone to doing that sometimes since I've had it my whole life. And his stories help remind me of the importance of the gospel, and I am so grateful for that. And I end up sharing lots of his stories in Sunday school and things.
Do it yourself? Don't pay someone to do it? No, I don't know. Like, learn to do your own things. Learn how to fix a car. Learn how to repair things. I think that's probably the best piece of advice I've gotten.
Best advice Grandpa has ever given to me probably was several years ago when I was near the end of my bachelor's degree and looking to a master's, and I was trying to make connections, and we were in his truck driving somewhere, probably from Provo, because it was kind of a longer drive, if I remember. I remember talking to him about how hard it was for me to kind of get out of my shell and to approach these people, my professors, co-workers, and to open these doors that I needed for my advancement in my degree. And he gave me some amazing advice, which was to learn about them as a person and to see them as more than just their position, but to really get to know them and then remember those about them. And he said something he would even do is after he met with someone, he would go and he would write down some facts about them. So the next time he could meet with them, he could go back and be like, they have a dog named Spot. They have 3 kids. And so that he could call those back. And so that whole conversation of just like remembering to treat them as a person and make them feel valued, and they will love you for that, but also it was a way to help me overcome that natural shyness of like not wanting to approach anyone ever and just kind of stay in my shell and do my own thing.
The best thing I think has not been something verbal, but he has led by example, just, putting his shoulder to the wheel and, pushing through difficulties and hardships and taking care of his family and prioritizing them. And, I think I've learned a lot from seeing him do that.
What's a phrase Grandpa says all the time?
This one should be easy, but it's just Grandpa, so I can't think of anything.
Is the Pope a Catholic? That's what I was
That's a good one.
The phrase I first think of is "good on ya, girl." I feel like he says this to me all the time. It always makes me feel like I'm loved and that he recognizes my efforts. But also just, it's something Grandpa says and no one else says it to me. So I just love it.
Phrase that you say all the time, I wouldn't say that it's the particular words that you say all the time. It's that you mix up the first letters of everything. Like, I'm going to go geed the foats instead of feed the goats. So that's a good time.
What kind of car was Grandpa's first car?
I don't know anything about cars. I'm a disappointment to my family.
Your first car? I have no idea what your first car is, but I bet it went fast.
And it was red.
I think it was a Ford make, but I can't remember for sure, and I don't know car models well enough to name one.
I've got to be honest, I don't know a ton about cars, but we are going to say a 1955 Chevy.
Truck or a Jeep? One of them.
I have no idea, so I'm just gonna guess a Toyota Corolla, and I don't think that that is right.
What is Grandpa's favorite drink?
First, your favorite drink?
Diet Coke.
Diet Pepsi.
Well, used to be Coke, and now it's Pepsi.
Drinks a lot of Diet Coke, but I think he recently swapped to Diet Pepsi because Coke went woke.
I would say probably Coke, even though he drinks Pepsi.
Grandpa's favorite drink is for sure Diet Coke, even though he tries to convince himself it's Pepsi.
I love Grandpa because
He doesn't care about what the world thinks of him. He's just willing to do what he thinks the right thing is and what the best thing is. And he's not afraid of sharing his opinions.
You're always willing to talk politics with me, and you're always showing me reliable sources. And I love that we can agree that there are two genders and you can't switch them.
Because of you, I love to learn, achieve, and most of all, to laugh. I still say things like mousetrap for mustard and shake a tower for take a shower.
I love Grandpa because we share similar interests, and he has been invested and supportive in my life, and has just been a good example and guidance to look up to.
It's always fun to be around him. I can be happy and comfortable around him and always have a good time.
I love Grandpa because he is an amazing man. He has taught me so much about so many different things, and he's never held me back, and he's always encouraged me to do more and to reach further and be the best possible version of myself. I love him because he loves me and he lets me know it, and he's always willing to give me a hug or feed me or go do something fun with me, and he's has the best advice and is just so fun.
I love him because he loves me unconditionally, and I know that he would do anything I needed, and I could talk to him about anything or go to him for anything, and I love him so much, and I'm so grateful for that.
Hey Grandpa, thank you for taking the time to listen to me talk about my interests and sharing your bits of knowledge on them. I love how you know something about everything, and I appreciate you taking that time and sharing those with me.
How many places has Grandpa lived?
Oh no, I have, let me think.
Oh, I have no idea.
This isn't a fair question. He has lived a lot of places.
5, just like when my mother was born, and she's the youngest.
Let's see, California, Utah, I don't remember which country it was overseas.
I'm gonna guess 6. No idea. 6 places.
How many places have you lived?
Over 10, probably.
10 plus for sure.
I'll guess 12.
I feel like it's gotta be at least 13. Yeah, I'll stick with 13.
15. That's a lot. I'll 15.
All right. I am going to throw out a number 26 places, which seems ridiculous, but I know it's been a ton of different places, so.
What did Grandpa study in school?
Biology. There's a blanket term for you because I don't know the name of the more minute things he studied.
Why do biologists look forward to casual Fridays? They're allowed to wear jeans to work.
Entomology.
Biology, I believe, is specifically reproductive biology.
Did I say entomology? I meant embryology.
Why aren't students allowed in the biology teacher's lounge? It's for staff only.
He also studied entomology because anytime I take a picture of a bug, he's like, yeah, I know exactly everything. But embryology was what I meant to say.
Zoology is what you studied in school. It's at the bottom of the list. That's what you chose.
So, as the story goes, which may or may not be true, I don't actually know, but as I've been told, Grandpa didn't want to go to school, And so he like didn't have a major in mind. So he was one day like going through the catalog of like a list of majors, and he got to the very, very end, and it was zoology. And he was like, well, I like animals. So he studied that.
What do you call an organic compound with an attitude? An amino acid.
I don't know if that's what he ended on, because I think his PhD is in something like reproductive biology, but I know he studied something biology related.
I think he got to the end of the list when he was first picking his degree and got to zoology, which was the very last thing, and that's what he started studying, and he ended at the reproductive biology, I believe.
My science class in middle school, we had to learn about a field of science, so I learned all about entomology, and it was really cool to talk to him about that and learn more about what he did and why he was so passionate about it. So that was really cool.
I like making science puns, but only periodically.
What's your favorite memory with Grandpa?
Probably just any memory where it's like me, Dad, Drake, and Grandpa working on cars or something.
One of my favorite memories of us together is, I think that Alec and I were engaged, and you and Grandma were working on that white house that's on the street with our apartment complex. And I pulled over to say hi, and we got talking, and you were asking some get-to-know-you questions. And we were talking about going shooting. I hadn't really gone shooting before, and then you just so happened to ask me what's my favorite food, and I said, I love burgers. And you looked at me, and you kind of got a twinkle in your eye, and you said, oh, you're an all-American girl, aren't you? And I was like, yes, I am. Burgers and shooting and freedom. And I knew we'd get along great, and we have. I love hearing your stories, too, and I also love hearing the stories of when you were in Europe and you went tracting with the missionaries. I think it was in Finland or somewhere, and just some really, really cool experiences that I love hearing, and I think are such wonderful stories to pass along.
One of my favorite kind of silly memories with Grandpa was probably the time when we went to Angie's and cleaned out the sink. They brought out the bumper sticker, and Grandpa was the only one at our table who actually wanted it and would actually use it, but Grandma kept telling him to give it to someone else, but we all insisted that he kept it because he really wanted to keep it. In the end, he got to keep it, but I just love that memory.
Hey, Grandpa. As I'm creating this, we just got off the phone together, and it's funny because we actually talked about the memory I wanted to share, which was when you taught me to go, when we went shotgun shooting for the first time, and you taught me how to shoot a shotgun. I still remember that, my body still remembers how to stand and position myself for shooting it, and that just comes down to your teaching. And it was a really, really cool day we got to spend together, and it was for the shotgun shooting merit badge, if I recall. And thanks to you, I managed to get it. And that was another step on my Eagle journey. And that, I guess, the prequel to that was I have a really cool memory when I was, I want to say between 7 and 10. I was at your place being babysat, and we set up some clay pigeons in the backyard along the back fence and shot at them with BB guns. And I think that was one of my first times with you teaching me how to shoot. That was a really cool memory I had, and I just thought it would be fun to share that again.
My favorite memory is definitely learning how to shoot and shooting guns with Grandpa.
So there was this time that I wanted to go learn how to shoot pistols because I'd only shot them once or twice, and I wanted to get better. And so Grandpa loaded up every single pistol he had. Well, probably not because he has a million pistols, but he loaded 20 pistols into his truck, as well as half a dozen rifles. And it was just him and me at the shooting range all day, just shooting every gun he had brought. And he talked me up so much. My confidence was sky high. Every person we ran into at the range that he knew, he was like, look how amazing my granddaughter is. But more than that, it was just the fact I got to spend the whole day with my grandfather doing something we both love. And it was just a really special day. So that's my favorite memory.
You know, honestly, when I was living with Grandma and Grandpa in their house, there were a lot of times when I'd go to talk to Grandpa briefly in his study, you know, tell him I was heading up to my room to go to bed or whatever, and we'd start just chatting about whatever topic, and it was a few times we'd end up chatting for 3 or 4 hours. We'd just chat for hours about everything, you know. Sometimes it started on a quick, you know, gun question, and then we went through engineering, jumped to cars, talked about biology, talked religion. It was just these long, detailed conversations where we were just both sharing back and forth things we knew and making inferences, and just really deep, interesting conversations. And I really valued and enjoyed that. And, you know, I loved those talks. And I hope I get to have a lot more of them.
There was, so while we were living in Jordan, we were staying with them for one summer. I think it was while we were living in Jordan. And I was really unhappy at the time. I guess Grandma's involved in this memory too, but both of them really made an effort to help me be happier, and that was when I started making a costume, and they helped me buy parts for the costume, and they just really, they noticed I was struggling and cared enough to help me.
I remember when I was at Camp Bartlett and I was going to the ER because, well, of appendicitis, and you saw my location. I was at the ER, and you were trying to get a hold of my parents, and you couldn't get a hold of them, and you were ready to come make sure I was all right, and I'm just grateful for you and your love.
One of the happiest memories from my childhood happened when I was a little girl and I got to spend the day with Grandpa. I remember it was a day with just him and I, so we got into the blue truck and drove down into Smithfield, where we went to a hardware store. While in the hardware store, we ended up walking through the gardening section, where we found a stone decorative statue of a frog that we both loved and decided to buy to surprise Grandma with. After the hardware store, we went through the drive-thru at Wendy's, where we got 2 chocolate Frosties and took them back to the house to eat on the back patio. While on the patio, we talked. Grandpa told me stories from his life and about the planes that flew over our heads. But he also listened to me when I talked and when I shared my insights. And to this day, that is one of my happiest memories. Not because anything particularly thrilling or exciting happened, but because I got to spend the day with my grandpa. Grandpa has been such a blessing in my life. Someone that I continually look to for advice, for encouragement, and as an example. Grandpa is the reason that I know how to shoot a gun. He's the reason I know how to open a locker. He's the reason I know what blind spots are in cars. And he's the reason that I have my ring finger. Grandpa has proven himself time and time again throughout my life that he is the man on the patio. Grandpa has always shown up for me. He was there for me the day I graduated from college, and he was there for me the day I was born. And because of that, he has always been one of my supporters, and I've always been one of his. I love you, Grandpa. You are one of the best things that has ever happened to me, and I'm so grateful that I get to have you in my life.
Anything else you want to say?
Happy birthday, Grandpa. Love you.
Happy birthday, Grandpa!
Happy birthday, Grandpa. I love you.
Don't kick the bucket too soon. I like you.
Happy birthday, Grandpa. I love you.
I love you, Grandpa. You've been such a strong, positive role model in my life, someone who's very intelligent and very strong, and someone who knows how to get through the hard things and come out smiling and be the better man on top.
Love you, Grandpa. Happy birthday.
I hope you're having a good birthday. Happy birthday. I love you.
So thank you, Grandpa, and happy birthday.
We love you, Grandpa. We love your stories. Keep telling them. Keep making us laugh. Well done making it to 80. You're amazing. We love you very much. Love from all 3 of us.
We love you.
Happy birthday, Dad. I love you.
Just wanted you to know your wisdom, your helpfulness, and definitely your sense of humor have made a difference in my life. Happy birthday.
We love you. Happy
birthday.
I love you, Grandpa, for everything you've given me and everything that I am because of what you've taught me and who you've made me. So happy birthday. I love you.
Happy birthday, Grandpa. I love you.
I just wanted you to know that we all lose track of time talking to you. We love to draw from your wisdom. We all love you so much. Thanks for being my dad. Love you and happy birthday.
I love you. And I hope you have a wonderful birthday.
I love you, Grandpa.